Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of Comicstorian. It's kind of a problem with video, but it's not in that format because you guys said, Benny, be your positive self. And I said, why did you say positive but? Such a weird way to word it. Why can't we just say that I'm a positive individual who only talks about things that I enjoy? And you're like, you're right, Benny. We shouldn't say words like that. YouTube might demonetize us. So today I want to talk about the Spider-Man marriage and the reasons why it got removed, the reasons why it is amazing, and the fact that they're bringing it back. What the hell? But today's episode is brought to you by Shortboxed. Use the app Shortboxed to help find the graded comic books that you want to add to your collection. And if you click the link down below, you have a chance to win a $100 gift card to Shortboxed using our code with Shortboxed. They're one of our longtime sponsors. They've been with us for the last year, and I wanted to remind you that we're still running promos with them on the regular. Shortboxed. Also brought to you by Comicstorian on Spotify. If you're just looking to listen to some full stories while on the road, check out Comicstorian on Spotify. Or if you just want our 4-hour videos, check out our sister channel, Comicstorian Full Story. Or if you want to hear me talk about manga, check out Mangastorian. I got more channels, but we're not going to promote that many. Now let's talk about the Spider-Man marriage. So if you've been living under a comic book rock, because you know, the rest of the world doesn't follow what we all follow, but if you've been following the world of comic books, everyone has been freaking out because Spider-Man's married again! That's right. The Ultimate Universe has been brought back through a summer event that was very lackluster and very terrible, and honestly, I wasn't a huge fan of it at all, but it's bringing back married Spider-Man, so it's all good now. I love it all. It's all amazing. So basically, at the end of the entire event, the Ultimate Universe was brought back in a new format. In that new format, we have a brand new Peter Parker. Now, we all thought we were going to start the story over again and redo Ultimate Spider-Man, but no, we're actually going to jump into the future of Spider-Man's life. He is married to Mary Jane, and he has 2 kids, and that's where the story's going to start. Now, many of you, well, not many, yeah, many of you are going to go, well, what happened to the original marriage? Well, see, that's a whole story full of rumors, myths, and urban legends in the world of comics. All the way back in the 90s, I want to say, I believe it was a 90s thing, maybe a late 80s thing, but either way, Spider-Man got married. What a lot of you don't realize is that in the early days of comic books, there was no death and resurrection. There was no perpetual wheel of Damian getting to the age of 16 and then reverting to 13. There was no situation in which Peter Parker would be wildly successful, lose everything, move back into an apartment, and now he's acting 21 again. You wouldn't have a character like Barbara Gordon go from being 35 to having college roommates and living in Burnside. We never did this stuff. Back in the early days of comics, there was just a straightforward progression of all of our characters. There was a sliding time scale. 20 years was not 20 years in the comics, but there was aging up. There was character progression. The writers at the time really tried to see what was going on in the world of comic books and keep that true to the character. And one such thing was Spider-Man moving out of high school, going into college, and eventually getting a full-time job, and then marrying Mary Jane. Now, this marriage lasted for quite some time, but as far as we know, there were rumors rumbling that the marriage was creating problems for writers within Marvel. The rumors state that the marriage of Spider-Man created issues for our writers because they found it difficult to write around the marriage or to incorporate the marriage. There was also a lot of issues from up high in which they were worried that the younger audiences would no longer be able to relate to Spider-Man as a character. The higher-ups in Marvel firmly believe that part of the reason why Spider-Man does so well is that he is at a relatable age. So high school to college, you know, you can go read his high school adventures, you can go read his college adventures, but he was always relatable. The down on the luck Peter Parker, he never had the girlfriend, never got married, never had kids. And this was a issue, and it was a lot of rumblings behind the scenes that Marvel wanted to get rid of the marriage. I remember as a kid reading these comic books and during the Clone Saga, in which we had to deal with Ben Reilly and Peter Parker in the marriage. But during the Clone Saga, they used it as a way to get rid of the marriage. And that was because the writers found it difficult to write and that nobody would relate with Spider-Man. I guess the assumption is that comic book nerds won't ever get married, so they'll never relate with Spider-Man. But what they ended up doing in the Clone Saga was Peter Parker and Mary Jane moved away. So that way they could be happily ever after married and Ben Reilly became the new Spider-Man. After the backlash, they reverted all of that and then just had Peter Parker and Mary Jane together. How they reverted it is almost a video in itself, and I'm not going to go into it right here, but basically Ben Reilly died. That's kind of how they did it. And Peter Parker told you, even just trying to do a brief version turns it into like a whole story. We're not doing it. Anyway, they brought back Peter Parker and Mary Jane. It was at, I believe, 2004 that it was decided to get rid of the marriage officially. I think I have it over here. 2001. 2001, the storyline One More Day came out. So after they realized they couldn't just swap out Spider-Man for Ben Reilly, they decided to just get rid of the marriage. The short version of that story basically boils down to Aunt May had died and Peter Parker wanted to save her. He wanted to get just one more day with her. In exchange for this, the devil decided to get rid of the current problems that Spider-Man had been dealing with, which was his marriage as far as the devil's concerned. The devil wanted to take away the marriage from him. And so what ended up happening was Peter exchanged the marriage for Aunt May to come back to life. And I think the writers thought that the overall audience would be more on board with that. Oh yeah, no, bring back Aunt May, screw the marriage. But the audience was not. And that's why for the last 22 years, you have heard people stating that they just want Peter Parker and Mary Jane to get married again. They want to get it back to the way it was. Now, One More Day eventually led to Brand New Day, and then we started the Spider-Man storyline over again, basically. Dan Slott and crew took over, and then the story that many of you recognize from Spider-Man, modern day Spider-Man, kind of picked up after this. But you've always heard the rumblings of people wanting to have the marriage back. Now, rumors, and I say rumors because I've never ever found a source that definitively states Marvel wants the marriage gone. The closest thing I ever found was Dan Slott stated that Marvel higher-ups did not think a marriage would sell. But that's the closest thing I've ever found to any kind of a source actually related to Marvel. But the fact that Marvel got rid of the marriage and the fact that they refused to bring it back is kind of proof that, yes, they don't want the marriage to go through. Be it the fact that they don't think Spider-Man would be relatable, be it that they think it's difficult to write for. Who knows? We don't know the true reasoning behind it. But supposedly, that's where we're at now. There was going to be no marriage. They attempted to bring it back briefly with Renew Your Vows. During Secret Wars, we went to go to multiversal areas and everyone got to team up. And Renew Your Vows came out. And everyone rejoiced. Finally, Peter Parker and Mary Jane back together again. Yeah, it's in another universe, but whatever. This is going to be great. We're going to have that comic. And then Renew Your Vows became an ongoing title. Even better. We get to continue the adventures of Mary Jane and Peter Parker married with Mayday Parker going along with her. Awesome. And then it didn't sell. It just didn't sell. This goes to an argument that I can't think of a proper way to make a video on, but whenever Marvel or DC finally does a change, the audience gets divided. You have the people that don't want change, and you have the people that want change. People complain and whine and moan that Logan Wolverine is in every event and that he acts the exact same and he's fighting more zombies and more vampires and he's fighting more Hulks. So Marvel's like, okay, what if his daughter became Wolverine? And I don't agree with legacy titling, but that is a progression of the character moving in a new direction. But of course, everyone freaked out. We don't want that. And they had to eventually revert it and bring back classic Wolverine. And now people are complaining, oh, Wolverine's doing the same stories again. It's the same stuff. You can't please everyone. But the fact that Renew Your Vows didn't sell, that's a problem. Because the book got canceled and the marriage of Peter Parker and Mary Jane was over. And that's it. We're not doing it anymore. We tried it. We gave you a book. Now, there is an argument, and I did see the argument, it's not in the main continuity. And that was the biggest thing. Everybody wants them to be married, but they want it in the main continuity. They want to see married Peter Parker, Mary Jane interacting with everybody else. That's what they want to see. Cool, I get it. But it doesn't matter because it didn't sell, regardless of the reasoning behind it, and so the book got canceled. Well, the Ultimate Universe is now opening up, which is going to be an entire universe. Like, not just one book, not just two books, a whole universe. So Ultimate Spider-Man, Ultimate, what are they calling it? The book that comes out tomorrow. It's called Ultimate Universe. Yeah, that's the name of the book. They're coming out with multiple books in this Ultimate Universe line. We're basically getting a weird reboot of the Marvel Universe, which is going to be interesting. It's going to be fun. I'm excited for it. I don't know about you guys, but a jumping on point for the Marvel Universe is going to be interesting. And in that jumping on point, we are getting the marriage back. I shook the camera. I'm so happy. Yeah, we're getting the marriage back. We're getting two kids. and they're going to be in not the main continuity, but a continuity. Not a solo ongoing book, but a continuity. The best part about the Ultimate Universe, if you weren't around when the first ones came out back in the early 2000s, is it was a natural progression of the characters. They all started and they came to an inevitable ending. The problem with modern day comic books is that we're stuck in this loop where no one can age, no one can progress, and any significant character growth needs to be thrown out the window because they've all got to go back to the status quo, which, as I stated earlier in this video, is not how comics started. If you enjoy manga storytelling styles where it goes from chapters 1 to 500 with progressions for the characters and then it ends, that's how comics used to be. Spider-Man went from high school to college to being married. So it's going to be interesting to see a rebirth of the Ultimate Universe because that's the concept behind the Ultimate Universe, a beginning and an ending to a universe. Now, when's the Ultimate Universe going to end? Who knows? The last one went for like 14 years before they decided it got too convoluted and ended the whole thing. But that's basically it. It's a shorter video because we don't know anything other than the cover that I've had Dan plaster on this video a dozen times. And Spider-Man's got a beard. He's got a beard finally, guys. He's growing up. He got facial hair. Dan still doesn't have facial hair, but Spider-Man got it. Wait a second. Maybe he's not nearly as relatable as I thought he would be with facial hair, but he's got a beard finally. Anyway, I'm just excited about this, and I wanted to make a video talking about the Spider-Man marriage and why it's never shown up. And according to Dan Slott and Marvel, why we'll never get it in main continuity. And I think we're going to stay at that, especially with Disney in charge right now, because Disney wants all the superheroes to be as close as they can to the characters in the movies. I know they're not saying that out loud, but every character lines up with how they are in the movies. I mean, case in point, Miss Marvel died so she can be a mutant because she's in the MCU and we have no Inhumans. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. If you like these more positive blurbs or information, let me know. And let me know what you think about this Ultimate Spider-Man universe, this marriage universe, because I'm excited. I want to know what's going to happen, and I will be here telling you about it day one. All right, guys, I'll see you next time right here. Boys! Hey, good day, chaps. We went ahead and won. We beat Marvel at their own game. Teleforth! I don't even know what that was. Twit, Spider-Man, Spider-Man. I'm getting in the mood, gang.